I still remember the morning sun peeking through the blinds when Zane texted me, "Let's go on that hike we used to do." It had been months since we really talked. Not since he started dating that girl from his gym. I wasn't sure why now, but I didn't question it. I just said yes. Zane picked me up like nothing had changed. Same smile, same energy, like we hadn't grown distant. We drove up to the trail in silence, windows down, music low. The wind tangled in his hair, and I kept catching myself staring. I hated that about me, how easily I fell back into those feelings. But it had always been this way with him. He'd laugh too long at my jokes, rest his arm on my shoulder just a second too long, and then pull away like it meant nothing. I kept pretending it didn't mean anything to me either. The trail was quiet. Pines stretched toward the sky. Birds filled the air with their songs, and our feet crunched along the dirt. We talked about stupid things, old classmates, his new job, how boring life had gotten. Then he stopped, pointed to a cliff edge we used to sit on in high school. "Remember when you dared me to jump into the lake from here?" he asked, laughing. "I remember you did it without thinking," I replied. He smirked and looked at me, but there was something softer in his eyes. "I miss this," he said. "Just you and me." I felt the air shift. He was different today. Calmer, more aware. I wanted to ask what he meant, but I stayed quiet. We hiked higher, reaching the ridge just as the sun dipped lower in the sky. We set up camp, just one tent, like always. He handed me a beer and sat close, our shoulders touching. His warmth was steady, and I felt my heart betray me again. "I've been feeling weird lately," he said, eyes on the fire. "Like things don't make sense anymore." He paused. "I think too much when I'm alone." I turned to him. "About what?" He shrugged. "You ever feel like you're lying to yourself?" That hit me hard. I didn't answer, but he didn't need me to. We sat in silence, watching the flames curl up to the stars. He leaned back, hands behind his head, eyes closed. And in that moment, with the forest around us and his breath steady beside mine, I wanted so badly to believe he saw me the way I saw him. That maybe, just maybe, I wasn't alone in this. But I didn't say a word. I just stayed beside him, letting the ache grow heavier in my chest. Afraid to ruin the one thing that still felt real. The fire was dying down, casting soft shadows on his face. Zane hadn't moved in a while, but I could feel the tension building between us like a thread pulled too tight. He finally spoke, voice low, like he was afraid of the words coming out. "Do you think people can feel something and not understand it?" I didn't answer right away. I knew what he meant, but I wanted to hear him say it. He looked at me, really looked this time. "Have you ever felt different around someone?" My throat tightened. "Yeah," I said, almost a whisper. He nodded slowly, eyes flickering, down to the space between us. "I don't know what's wrong with me," he said, "but when I'm with you, I feel clearer. It's confusing, but it's real." I didn't expect him to be that honest. For years, I thought I was the only one carrying these feelings. And now, he was sitting here unraveling in front of me, unsure and raw. I wanted to reach for him, but hesitated. "You're not broken, Zane," I said. "Maybe you've just never let yourself feel everything." His breathing changed. He was nervous. "What if I've been lying to myself this whole time?" he asked. "What if I'm not who I thought I was?" I could see it: fear, curiosity, and something deeper, fighting its way to the surface. He turned toward me, his face inches from mine. "I don't know what this is, but I need to know if it's just me." I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just let him come closer. When he kissed me, it wasn't rushed or unsure. It was quiet, slow, like something he'd been holding back. For far too long, my heart raced, but I didn't pull away. His hand rested lightly on my jaw, his touch careful but certain. Everything around us disappeared. It was just him and me, no labels, no rules, no past. When we finally pulled apart, he kept his forehead pressed to mine. "That didn't feel wrong," he whispered. "Not even a little." We stayed like that for a while, wrapped in a silence that felt full, not empty. For the first time, I allowed myself to believe that maybe I wasn't imagining everything. Maybe the connection I'd always felt wasn't one-sided. He laid down beside me, close enough that our arms brushed. I could feel his breath slow as he drifted off. But sleep didn't come to me. I stared at the stars, heart wide open, trying to hold on to the weight of that moment. A piece of me still didn't trust it. I knew Zane. I knew his walls, His fear of being anything but the man people expected him to be. But tonight, he let that guard down. He chose me, even if only for a moment. And that moment felt like everything I'd ever wanted. The morning felt colder than it should have. Zane was already packing up when I opened my eyes. No smile, no warmth in his voice, just a distracted, clipped tone. We should head back early. Looks like rain. I nodded, trying not to let the tight knot in my chest show. I waited for him to say something about last night. Anything. But he didn't. He barely looked at me. As we walked, the silence was unbearable. I tried to break it gently. About last night, he cut me off. Yeah, that was. I don't know, man. I think I was just tired. Drunk, maybe. I stared at him, stunned. You weren't drunk, Zane. He looked straight ahead. I know. But it didn't mean what you think it did. Each word hit like a punch. So what? It was a mistake, I asked. He sighed hard, like he couldn't believe I was making this a conversation. It shouldn't have happened. Okay. I'm not like you. That line stuck in my head like a scream. I'm not like you. The same guy who kissed me like I was everything, now pretending none of it was real. I felt sick. You kissed me, I reminded him. You told me it didn't feel wrong. He finally stopped and looked at me, eyes hard, because I was confused. That's it. I've been going through some stuff. And you were just there. Just there. Like I was a placeholder for his crisis. I wanted to yell. But the heartbreak was louder than the anger. You could have just been honest, I said. Instead of making me believe this was something more, he turned away. I didn't make you believe anything. We didn't speak again for the rest of the hike. The silence this time wasn't heavy, it was hollow, cold. When we reached the car, he didn't say goodbye. He didn't even look back, just dropped me off and drove away like I was nothing more than a detour in his story. I checked my phone that night. No texts. The next day, I was blocked. Socials wiped. Gone. It felt like losing a limb. Years of friendship erased over one truth he couldn't handle. I replayed every second of that night, every word he said, wondering if I imagined it all. But I hadn't. He was scared. Scared of what that kiss meant. Scared of what it might say about him. So he ran from me. From himself. From the part of him that finally felt something real. And he didn't just walk away. He made sure to bury every trace of it, like it never happened. Like I never happened. The silence that followed was worse than the goodbye he never gave. For days, I waited for a message, an explanation, anything that could soften the sharp edge he'd left behind. Nothing came. I tried reaching out once. No response. That's when I knew he wasn't coming back, not even as a friend. I went through the motions. Work, home, sleep. But everything felt slower, heavier. I kept thinking about that night, how real it was, how present he seemed in that moment. And then I'd remember the morning after. The way he looked through me, like I was a stranger. That part hurt the most, not just the kiss. But the way he rewrote our entire history in a heartbeat. It took weeks before I stopped checking my phone. Even longer before I stopped hoping he'd show up. Apologize. Say he was scared. But no, one came. All I had was the echo of what we shared, and the weight of what it turned into. So I started writing again. Not for him, not to make sense of it, but for myself. I wrote about the trail, the fire, the kiss. I didn't try to label it. I just let it be what it was. Real. I couldn't carry his shame, his fear, or his silence anymore. That wasn't mine to hold. I realized something in that process. Loving someone who won't accept love doesn't make your love less true. It just means they weren't ready for it. Zane wasn't ready, not for me. Not for honesty. Not even for himself. He needed to fit into the version of himself that made everyone else comfortable. And I just didn't fit in that picture. I don't hate him. I can't. I loved him too much for that. But I don't wait for him anymore. I've stopped grieving someone who chose to disappear. Slowly, I started to open up again. I met new people, some kind. Some not, but all of them honest in a way Zane never was. Sometimes. I still hike that same trail. Alone now, and when I sit at the ridge, I think of him not with anger, but with clarity. He kissed me like it meant something, because it did. He just couldn't face what it revealed. That wasn't my failure. That was his fear. I've forgiven him. But more importantly, I've forgiven myself for wanting it so badly. I deserved more than a moment hidden in the woods. I deserved someone who wouldn't kiss me in the dark and deny me in the light. Asterisk, he left me like it meant nothing, but I remember every second like it meant everything. And that's enough. Not because it ended the way I wanted, but because I survived it. And I'm still here. Still open. Still loving. Just not him anymore.